In the heart of Lagos, behind tall gates and trimmed hedges, sat the Olumide estate, white walls, gold accents, and a kitchen bigger than some flats in Mushin. Staff in clean uniforms moved like clockwork, attending to the Olumide family's every need. But among them was a girl who walked differently. Her name was Ada. She kept her head low, her steps light, her voice softer than the hum of the estate's generator. While others gossiped in the corridor or scrolled on their phones, Ada focused on her mop, her sponge, her timing, always early, always quiet, always gone by nightfall. Nobody noticed the nylon bag tucked inside her faded handbag. Nobody asked why she left just after the kitchen cleaned up. Nobody until Toby came home. Toby, son of Chief Olumide, had just returned from New York. His accent was smooth, but his eyes missed nothing. He had grown up in this mansion, but after 5 years away, even the air smelled different, cleaner, colder. He didn't feel like he belonged anymore. One evening, as he stood by the upstairs balcony, sipping Zobo from a crystal glass, he saw Ada. She was walking past the garden hedge toward the back gate, holding a small black nylon bag close to her chest. The estate's lights cast a soft glow on her face. Young, tired, unreadable. Toby frowned. "Who's that?" he asked the driver beside him. "One of the cleaners, sir. I think her name's Ada." "And what's in her bag?" The man shrugged. "She always carries something small like that when she leaves. Nobody complains. She works hard." Toby didn't respond. His eyes followed Ada as she walked past the security post. She nodded at the gatekeeper, who barely looked up before waving her through. That night, while dinner was being served on porcelain plates in the dining room, Ada was already on a Danfo bus heading toward Ahegum. The smell of jollof rice from the bag filled the air, mixing with sweat and dust. Welcome to the Judge Stories. If you love gripping tales with shocking twists, you're in the right place. Please subscribe to help us grow and tell us in the comments which country you're watching from. Toby couldn't sleep. He sat in bed, staring at the ceiling fan as it turned slowly. Why would a girl who worked in one of the richest homes in Lagos sneak away every night with scraps? There was something there. Not greed, not theft, survival. He didn't know her story yet, but something told him he was about to find out. The next evening, Toby stood by the same balcony, but this time he was ready. He wore a simple black polo, jeans, and a cap pulled low over his face. The mansion lights flickered on one by one as the sun dipped beneath the Lagos skyline. The scent of grilled chicken drifted from the kitchen. Staff moved busily, except Ada, who was already drifting toward the back gate. Toby waited until she passed the fence, then slipped out quietly through the side entrance, his sneakers silent on the tiles. He didn't know why he was doing this. He only knew that he had seen something in Ada's eyes the night before. Not fear, not shame, something deeper, a kind of quiet desperation. Ada walked fast. She crossed the busy street, entered a side road, and flagged down a Danfo. Toby followed in a hired taxi, keeping 2 cars behind. His driver complained about the area. "Oga, this road no good-o." But Toby waved him quiet. They reached Ajagunlo. The potholes turned deeper, the houses more cramped. The taxi slowed as Ada got down, carefully holding the same black nylon bag. She didn't look back. She turned into a narrow footpath between 2 rusted zinc walls. Toby told the driver to wait. He stepped out and followed on foot. The sun had fully set. Only a few bulbs lit the way, their wires hanging like vines. Children's laughter echoed in the distance. Then he heard a door creak. He slowed, peered around a corner. Ada stood in front of a wooden shack. The door opened and 2 small children ran out barefoot. "Ada!" one shouted. "No, call her auntie," the older one corrected. Ada dropped to her knees and hugged them both. "My babies," she whispered, kissing their cheeks. "I brought rice." More children came out. 2 others, slightly older, waited shyly by the door. All of them barefoot, all of them smiling like the bag in her hands held gold. Toby stood frozen behind a cracked wall, his breath caught in his chest. 4 children, and she was feeding them from scraps? Inside the shack, a dim bulb flickered as Ada split the food into small plates, serving each child with gentle hands. She did not touch a single grain herself. She just sat and watched them eat, her face soft, her stomach silent. Toby felt something burn behind his eyes. He turned quickly and walked back the way he came, his heart pounding louder than the generator across the street. He had followed a girl he thought was stealing. Instead, he had followed a girl who was saving lives. The shack was small, barely enough space to stretch a full body on the ground. Its roof sagged in the middle, patched with nylon and nails. The door, once painted blue, now peeled like dry skin. But inside, warmth lived. Ada moved with practiced grace. She brought out a torn mat and placed it gently on the floor. The children, Ife, Zena, Debbie, and Chuka, ate hungrily but respectfully. No complaints, no noise. Just the quiet clatter of spoons and the occasional, "Thank you, Auntie Ada." She smiled at them, though her own stomach twisted from emptiness. Toby now watched from a distance through the shack's open window. He didn't need to be close to see the truth. She had not taken food for herself. Just rice, just chicken, just enough to make 4 little bellies feel full in a world that had given them nothing. He leaned back in the seat and closed his eyes. "She's not just a cleaner," he whispered. "She's a mother. A mother with no home of her own, no husband, no one to call for help. Just 4 little souls and a bag of leftovers." That night, Ada swept crumbs off the mat. She tied the plates into a nylon bag for washing in the morning. The children had already drifted to sleep. Chuka snuggled against her leg, Zena's hand resting on Ife's back. Debbie murmured in her sleep, "I want to be a nurse one day." Ada kissed her forehead. "You will," she whispered. "You all will. One day." Outside, Toby wiped his eyes. Something had shifted inside him. He had seen hunger before, on TV, in documentaries, but not like this. Not this close. Not this real. The air smelled of smoke and dreams deferred. He didn't know what he'd do yet, but he knew one thing. He couldn't unsee what he saw. And somehow, he would not let this story end here. Toby barely slept that night. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling of his room in the mansion. Ceiling lights shaped like stars, air conditioning whispering gently. A fridge full of food humming by the wall. But his mind was in that shack in Ahagunli, where a girl with no bed made 4 children feel safe. By morning, he had made up his mind. He walked into the estate kitchen, where chefs were busy slicing, frying, blending. None of them noticed Ada as she mopped behind the counter. She didn't speak. She never did. She just wiped the edges of the fridge, the bottoms of the cabinets, as if her silence made her invisible. But Toby saw her now, fully. He waited until she stepped out with her mop bucket, then followed her into the corridor. "Ada," he said softly. She turned, startled. "Good morning, sir." Her eyes darted to the floor, hands tightened around the mop handle. "You've worked here long?" "Yes, sir." He hesitated. "Do you like it here?" She gave a small nod. "It helps me feed my siblings, sir. That's more than I can ask for." Toby's chest tightened. "And the other 2 kids? They're not your siblings, right?" Ada froze. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. She took a step back. "I'm not here to scold you," Toby said quickly. "I saw you. I followed you. I know about the leftovers. I know about them." Her shoulders dropped. Her hand went to her mouth. "I'm sorry," she whispered. They're children. They're hungry. I didn't mean to steal." "You didn't steal," Toby said firmly, slowly, confusion in her eyes. "You shouldn't be ashamed of what you did," he added. "You've been doing more than any of us in this house." Silence passed between them like wind through tall grass. "I want to help," Toby said at last, "but I want to do it right." Ada blinked. "Sir?" He smiled gently. "Will you come with me to my father's office?" Her grip on the mop handle tightened again. "I don't want to lose this job." "You won't, I promise." In that moment, something unspoken passed between them, a seed of trust. Toby led the way. Ada followed slowly, her footsteps unsure but her heart open for the first time in a long while. Because sometimes it takes just one person seeing you, really seeing you, for everything to begin changing. Chief Olumide's office smelled of leather and old money. Gold frames lined the walls, awards, oil contracts, political handshakes frozen in time. The air was cool, the silence heavy. Toby stood by the window. Ada sat across from Chief Olumide, her hands folded tightly in her lap, eyes low. "So," Chief Olumide said, resting his elbows on the table. "Toby tells me you've been working here for 2 years." "Yes, sir," Ada replied softly. "You've never asked for anything, no complaints, no absences. But you've also been taking food home." Ada's heart dropped. She tried to speak, but her voice cracked. "'T wasn't stealing, sir." Toby stepped forward. "Dad, she's been feeding 4 children. 2 are her siblings. The other 2, orphans she took in." Chief Olumide raised an eyebrow. "All from scraps in our kitchen?" "Yes," Toby said firmly. The old man leaned back. His fingers tapped the table. Ada's voice trembled. "I'm sorry, sir. I know I should have asked, but I didn't want to be sent away. They depend on me." Chief Olumide looked at her, really looked. She didn't beg. She didn't cry. She just waited, bracing herself for the worst with quiet dignity. He stood slowly, walked to the cabinet behind him, opened a drawer and pulled out a slim envelope. "You remind me of someone," he said at last. "My mother. She raised me and my brothers selling akara in Agege, fed us before she fed herself." He handed her the envelope. Ada took it, her fingers shaking. Inside, a letter of promotion. "Personal assistant to the CEO." "I don't do this often," he said. "But this, you earned it." Toby smiled. "That's not all," Chief Olumide continued. "There's a small apartment on the mainland. Safe, clean, furnished. It's yours now. No more zinc roof. No more damp floors." Ada pressed a hand to her mouth. Tears welled but didn't fall. "I've also made arrangements for the children," he added. "They'll start at a better school next week. Uniforms, books, food. No more begging." She fell to her knees. "Thank you. Thank you, sir," she whispered. "I don't know what to say." Chief Olumide reached forward and gently helped her up. "Just say you'll keep doing what you're doing," he said, "because this world needs more people like you." The Danfo buses didn't stop in this part of Lagos. The air smelled different, cleaner. The gutters were covered. Children played in the compound without dust rising in clouds. Ada stood frozen outside the cream-painted building, her hand gripping the straps of 2 small school bags. The driver opened the car door. "Madam, we don't reach." Her voice trembled. "This is for us?" "Yes, ma," he smiled. "Chief say make I bring you and the children home." The children scrambled out. Ife ran ahead, eyes wide. Zena clung to Ada's wrapper. Debbie and Chuka stepped out slowly, their bare feet meeting smooth tiles for the first time. "Mommy, is this a hotel?" Chuka whispered. Ada knelt beside him. "No, baby. It's our new house." Their new house had walls that didn't leak when it rained. It had windows with glass, not torn curtains. The living room had a fan that spun quietly, a soft brown couch, and a small framed photo on the wall that read, "This home is blessed." The kitchen had cabinets, a proper sink, a fridge stocked with rice, eggs, and fruit. The children ran from room to room, shrieking with laughter. "Look, my own bed! This one has a drawer! Mommy, come and see! There's even tissue in the toilet!" Ada walked slowly, touching every wall like she was afraid it would disappear. She stepped into the bedroom. 2 beds, soft mattresses, clean sheets, a wardrobe with hangers. She sat on the edge of one and looked around. No rats, no cracked floors, no torn mats. For a moment she couldn't speak. Her hand went to her chest. The breath she'd been holding for years finally released. She whispered, "Thank you, God." From the kitchen, Debbie's voice rang out. "Auntie Ada, can we cook jollof today?" She wiped her eyes and smiled. "Yes, baby. Today, we cook jollof rice with chicken." She tied her scarf and stepped into the kitchen. Not to boil scraps, not to measure crumbs, to cook in peace. Toby didn't visit that day, but he didn't need to. He had given her the key, not just to a house, but to hope. And in that quiet kitchen, with tomato paste bubbling and laughter echoing in the hall, Ada finally felt it. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. Morning light spilled through the clean windows, casting a soft glow on the tiled floor. In the new kitchen, Ada stood barefoot, her wrapper tied firmly around her waist. A pot of steaming jollof rice simmered on the stove. The scent of thyme, bay leaves, and fried onions filled the air like a promise. The girls sat at the small dining table, plastic but new. Plates gleamed, cutlery clinked softly as they waited, wide-eyed, legs swinging beneath the chairs. Ada turned off the stove, opened the pot, and stirred gently. Not scraps, not what was left. This was their own. She dished out the food, equal servings, thick cuts of fried chicken, and slices of boiled plantain. She placed each plate in front of them, one by one. The children whispered a soft, "Thank you," before digging in. "Auntie Ada," Chuka said between mouthfuls, "this is the best rice ever." Debbie nodded, cheeks full. "It tastes like Christmas." Ada didn't eat immediately. She just sat, watching them, soaking it all in. Their joy, their peace, the sound of chewing, not silence. Smiles without worry. After a while, Zena reached out and held her hand. "Auntie Ada, aren't you going to eat too?" Ada smiled, tears shining in her eyes. "I will. I just wanted to see all of you happy first." There was a knock at the door. She opened it slowly, and there stood Toby. He held a brown bag in one hand and smiled. "Good morning. I brought bread and groundnut. Thought it might go with the rice." Ada laughed, a soft, surprised sound that felt new in her own mouth. She stepped aside to let him in. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to." He looked around. "They've settled in?" "They have," she said, glancing back at the table. "We all have." They sat together as Ada finally served her own plate. The six of them, Ada, Toby, and the four children, ate together in quiet joy. No silverware polished by housemaids. No crystal chandeliers. Just tiled floors, warm food, and a table full of grace. Later that day, Ada gathered the children in a circle. She held their hands. "Before we sleep in this house," she said softly, "we will always thank God." The children nodded, eyes closed, hands tight. "Thank you for the hard days," Ada prayed, "because they taught us to be strong. Thank you for today, because it teaches us to hope." And in that quiet room, full of soft laughter, warm food, and new beginnings, a girl who once begged for leftovers finally tasted what it meant to be full. Not just in body, but in heart.